All Blacks Eden Park record is secure, folks, and the Pumas once again failed to back up after a win over the All Blacks. They've been given something of a hiding, 42 points to 10. The All Black scrum looked good. They got a lot of those in the rain. It was thanks to that they managed to win a lot of penalties and get themselves some good field position. The kicking game for the All Blacks was a lot better than last week. And the Pumas, in the rain, really struggled with their handling. Some of the errors they made were really similar to the errors we saw from the All Blacks last week down in Wellington. We will go through some of the key events, some of the stats, and you guys can let us know your thoughts on this one. But ultimately, it's a series that finishes 1-1, which the All Blacks will be disappointed in because they would have been backing themselves to go 2-0 against the Pumas. The Pumas, I think, will take 1-1. But it's a good reply from the All Blacks at Eden Park when the pressure was on them. You know, after 1 week's loss, suddenly Ray's has not got what it takes and he's not ready for Test match rugby. He's played Test match rugby. Now he is a coach of Test match rugby, and we'll see if he's able to kind of keep the team on the right track. But hey, this was a good win. It's not going to wipe away last week, but it's a good win for the AB. As I mentioned, the rain, the All Blacks handled it pretty well earlier, man. I mean, the first try, it's a bit of a bobbled ball. The All Blacks still managed to retain a bit of possession, though. And then Jordie Barrett, I mentioned the kicking game. A lot of kicking long to keep them in the right end of the field, but like Jordie Barrett's dink over the top of the on-rushing Argentinian defence, exactly what you need. D-Mac's able to chase it down. It looked like it was too big for mine initially, but no, it holds up just into the in-goal area. D-Mac goes over for a 7-point lead. Only after 6 minutes, the All Blacks come out of the blocks firing. However, they were a bit guilty of mucking up some of the kind of post-score plays, like from the restart. Bit of a kick and duel. D-Mac kicks it out on the full, which is an error which the Argentinians directly punish because that gives them the field position. And then Lomax with a no-arms tackle means a penalty, which the Pumas slot. 7-3. Disappointing for the ABs to concede straight after scoring, but they will be pretty happy that they only conceded the 3, I suppose, and not like 7, which they might have another week. But yeah, 7-3 early on. And then speaking of mistakes, Bertrano didn't have his finest game in Argentinian colours. On 16 minutes, he gets that call, which not many halfbacks get called for these days, but the refs have been under instructions to keep up the speed of the play, which is not using it within the 5 seconds of the ball being available. So he gets pinged for that. That leads to a scrum, and scrum for the All Blacks in this game is happy days. The scrum leads to a penalty. The penalty leads to a 5-metre line out. That leads to a maul, which is close to Mighty Williams, then goes close, and then Artie, he's able to go over, so extends the lead 14 points to 3 for the ABs, looking pretty comfortable. But then a penalty conceded from the restart to Mighty Williams offside in front of the kicker, which is a real soft one to concede. A really good chance for the Pumas to get back into the game. However, they get stopped at maul time for the All Blacks, which is a perfect reply from the ABs. And then there's a scrum from the maul turnover, which is a penalty, which is an exit back into Argentinian territory, which is where the ABs wanted to be. Now, from that territory, the ABs made the Pumas look like the All Blacks did last week, as I mentioned before. Like, remember the All Blacks last week passing it under pressure, loose ball, going backwards, getting charged down? That's what we saw from the Pumas. Malia got charged down. Pumas are 6s and 7s at times. And then there's a kind of weird call. Va'i, seemingly in an offside position, intercepts an Argentinian pass. I thought he looked offside, but the ref says the ball was out. It didn't look that out, but the ball was called out. So with the All Blacks getting ball in Argentina's 22, it doesn't take them long to shift it wide. Caleb Clark goes over, 21-3. It's looking like Eden Park is a very secure venue for the ABs. And then they get one from Will Jordan not long later as well. That one's a maul. TJ just snipes down the blind side, gives it to Will Jordan, who's got the gas to go past an on-rushing Santiago Carreras. 28-3. I feel like it's pretty much game over. It doesn't feel like the Pumas are getting back into this one, especially at Eden Park, and especially in this weather, which the Pumas have not been handling well. 36 minutes, the ABs have got a big maul. They go through phases, cross-kick to Cody Taylor, more go-forward ball, like cross-kick to Cody Taylor. He's the hooker. And it just as it's slowing down, D-Mac draw and pass to Bodie, who's able to go over. He beats Maroney 35-3 at halftime. it's looking like an absolute rout. Like the Pumas did have a chance before halftime when the All Blacks were pinged at scrum time, but they knocked it on the line out. And their handling stats were awful in the first half, the Pumas. Like the All Blacks have had 59% possession. They've had a lot of ball. And somehow the Pumas, despite having way less ball, have conceded 9 turnovers to 5. You can't be doing that. The All Blacks have had 4 clean breaks to zip. Penalty count's pretty low, 3 by the All Blacks, 5 by the Pumas at halftime. And the All Blacks tackle percentage is 94%. So that they are bossing the game. The scrum is absolutely all over it. Second half, though, it finishes 7 points apiece. I don't feel like Razor will be particularly chuffed with the second half. The Pumas will be happy with the way they were able to get themselves into the second half as a competitive side, but they were that far behind, it didn't make a difference. If they'd played the first half the way they played the second half, it might have been an arm wrestle, but nah. They were pretty much dead and buried by the start of the half anyway. And the start of the half didn't go well for them because from the kickoff, they got a maul turn over the All Blacks on the Pumas, which someone will have to correct me if I'm wrong, because I thought if it was a kickoff and you got to kind of hold the guy up, maul turnover, the possession went to the receiving team, but no, it was an All Blacks feed, and that basically led to an All Blacks try. They were able to get Will Jordan over for the second, but that was the final scoring for the ABs. That's the 42 points. That's what I mean about there is still far from a finished article. As much as you can't really complain about 42-10, no scoring after the 42nd minute when you've scored 35 points in the first half will be concerning. Argentina finally got some ball. I mean, to be fair, the All Blacks did ring the changes. They took off D-Mac, they brought on Sam Cane, which is a really pleasing one to see him not finish his career with a World Cup final red card. You know, he gets to have a win under his belt to finish things off. Yeah, they bring Ratim on. They ring the changes. So that's obviously going to be a little bit disruptive, but they still would have liked to score some points. Rain really started piddling down again. The All Blacks had a couple of kicks which looked close, like one for Talia, close. There was another one on the left wing, close, but just slightly too big, and the Pumas able to kind of sweep them back. And then the Pumas actually scored to even up the second half scoreline. Like after a long period of pressure, penalty conceded from the All Blacks. The Pumas managed to go over through Malia when they finally went through like 11 phases. So, yeah, pleasing. We're able to play at pace, able to not drop the ball. They showed that they could actually break the All Blacks line. They had a kind of TMO chance earlier when they'd knocked it on over the line. But yeah, they were actually able to put on some pressure, which is good because they weren't in it in the first half. But as I said, they were already dead and buried, so it didn't really matter. And Almua finishes the game in the bin because he gets yellow carded with a head-on-head against Mateo Carreras. For some reason, the New Zealand commentary team were like, that's not right. They haven't been watching rugby in the last 2 years because any head-on-head is getting yellow carded these days. I mean, Mateo Carreras has to go off for an HIA. If the dude's going off for an HIA because you hit his head with your head, you're getting yellow carded. Whether you like those rules, agree with them, disagree with them, whatever, that's the way it's ruled. It's like a one-handed yellow card thing for an intercept. Like if you go for a one-handed and don't get it, expect to get yellow carded, whether you like that rule or not. You know what I mean? That's just the way it goes. But yeah, ultimately pretty comfortable. Stats, run meters 464 for the ABs. And I'm pleased that they're at 4.2 meters a carry. Last week was an abysmal 2.5. Like 4 is the gold standard. If you're in the 3s, you're probably okay, especially high 3s. If you're in the 2s, you're going nowhere. And the All Blacks proved, especially in that first half, they can bust over the advantage line. Very pleasing to see. Argentina at 323 metres. Kicks from hand, 35-21 to the ABs. Put a lot of boot to ball. Effective kicking game, which was really pleasing, especially in the first half. Possession and territory actually finish out pretty even. Remember, it was dominant to the All Blacks, especially possession-wise in the first half, which showed you how competitive the second half was. Defenders beaten 31-14. So that's pleasing for the ABs. Clean breaks 9-3. Pleasing for the ABs. And turnovers conceded. Argentina 21. All Blacks 13. Both of those numbers are high. It's wet. It's to be expected. But 21 is bonkers high for the Pumas. You're never going to win games if you're coughing up that much ball. And the All Blacks and Pumas both mauled it a fair bit. 8 from the All Blacks, 6 from the Pumas. Playing to the conditions makes sense. Also pleasing for the ABs, 92% tackle percentage. They kept the Pumas largely very quiet compared to last week. Remember, last week some of the tries they conceded were pretty soft ones, I think by their own standards, kind of turnover ball, style tries. This week, much, much better on defense. Penalty count finishes 10 to the All Blacks, 11 to the Pumas, so pretty tight in that regard. But, pretty stop-start in the second half. Will Jordan, man, he's got to be starting, whatever position he plays. 84 metres, 2 clean breaks, 3 defenders beaten, 2 tries. Very good. Artie Savia beats 5 defenders. Blackadder makes 18 from 21 tackles. Better game from him, to be sure. Very busy at line-out time as well. Malia gets his try. Has 89 metres and 2 defenders beaten. Oviedo makes 12 from 12 tackles. That's pleasing. But, yeah, some magic moments from the ABs, man. Like D-Mac saved the 50-22 by, like, scooping it back from the side of the line. Like, the sideline. Really like high commitment, really kind of skills play. Whereas you got like Albanoz for the Pumas, tries to run down the sideline, tries to grubber it and just fucking air swings with his foot. Like it just wasn't the Pumas day at the office, sadly for them. But yeah, we will see how both these teams go in their next series. The All Blacks will travel to South Africa, which you feel like is going to be a challenge. And the Pumas will host the Aussies, which they will be under a bit of pressure, I think, depending on how this next game goes between the Pumas and the Wallabies and the Box, to see if the Pumas can go 2-0 against the Wallabies. But yes, I'm going to go watch that game now. You guys let us know your thoughts on this one. 42 points to 10. Are you pleased? Do you think the ABs are back? Or do you think they're still a work in progress? Pumas, I feel like, are the new France. They are very inconsistent. They can beat anybody on their day, but they can also put in a quite disappointing performance. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment, all that jazz. Thank you for being here. Love a good game of rugby, and I'm happy the All Blacks won. You guys take care, and I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.